Welcome, one and all, to Various Fields. I'm Lex.
I'm Hazen Fields II.
And I'm Trey. How y'all doing today?
And we're continuing a conversation that you guys would have heard last week on patriotism. And
Yes.
Dad, I'm going to throw it to you real quick, and I'm going to try to do a quick recap of what we talked about last week, because my whole, just in a sentence, the initial conversation was bringing back patriotism and or trying to reclaim patriotism for those who don't flaunt it, advertise it, wear it on the chest the same way it literally, on the flag and stuff, the same way maybe MAGA represents itself. Does that make sense?
You mean not wearing your patriotism on your chest and or your head?
Came prepared. But to set you up, do you want to read the definition of patriotism? Because you brought up something good.
I did have it for a second. Give me one, because we're going to look at my phone.
Oh, the phone started spinning bars for crazy.
That's something I got to fix on my phone.
Okay.
Patriotism. Yeah, that's so sad. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. And I know, Trey, you also had a quote at some point.
Well, I guess giving off from the same energy we came off from your last week.
That's a good beat.
Sorry, guys.
You're fine.
No, you're fine. But I was more or less speaking on the fact that patriotism shouldn't just be the branded red, white, and blue ideal of saying I'm proud of where we are right now, where we stand. Right? It's not exclusively about the pride of where we are. We can always think about moving forward in our nation's history and progressing from where we are right now, never moving backwards, right? I wanted to bring this up a little last week, but I found it just now. James Baldwin is the one who said, "I love America more than any other country in this world, and exactly for this reason, I insist on the right to criticize her perpetually." Right?
Yes.
Allowing that mentality to press forward as opposed to make America great again, as in there was a forethought to that. There was a time and place where it used to be an ideal vision of a place that we want to live in. But at the same time, we can always make it better. We can always propel and make sure that it's a place for everybody here. That's why.
Well, to answer the question that I so lamely did not have the preparation for, but patriotism is the quality of being patriotic, devotion to and vigorous support of one's country. And we were talking about it before, vigorous support of one's country.
Yeah.
So just support of one's country with a lackluster support. Here, sign here and you can register to vote.
Right.
Some would argue that's not as patriotic as someone going, "Hey, you over there, you come over here and vote. You can do it,"
Which is I think the external energy of America to a lot of countries. A lot of times you'll get the idea of Americans seem maybe loud. Americans sometimes they have the whole gun toting. So maybe I think there's also a little bit of the expectation of American or Americana being loud but also I feel vigorous is on its own nature subjective. Right. How do you ratio someone else's vigor?
No, it doesn't always have to be outward showing. It can always just be where you find yourself and what propels your ideals and your motivations.
Right.
Well, this brings up the reason why I'm wearing my flags here. Right now, you see I'm wearing the red, white, and blue.
Yeah.
You see my red, white, and blue, and it's patriotic, right? And patriotic, you see it right there? Ha-ha! It's the Puerto Rican flag. We're also, we have become, with our propaganda, here when we say red, white, and blue, automatically we think that we're the only country that have flags that are red, white, and blue.
Right.
There are plenty of countries that support, including Russia, Liberia, many others that have, I think, Slovakia. But there's so many other countries that have red, white, and blue. But when you become culturally conditioned in this area to say, "Well, I'm American because I don't care about I wear the red, white, and blue," we have to now turn our idea of patriotism. Well, what red, white, and blue?
Right.
Which red? So it's not just the colors; it's from whence those colors are attached, the history. So that's why I think it's very important that history is important, because if you just go by red, white, and blue, what are you talking about?
Right. And I think that comes back. So what I'm trying to do is bring it back to the original topic and then kind of continue from there. Because the thing that I'm arguing, and I guess to make it more succinct, this is going to sound weird. This is going to sound like we're I don't want to sound more dramatic than it is, but I do think the conversation can boil down here. Can you, especially as a person of color, but in any way, can you proudly be patriotic in a moral way? Does that make sense? Like because I think that's the thing. It's like the reclaiming of patriotism is something that I'm behind conceptually. Right. But then there's like the whole idea of like, you know, you don't want to other anybody. Right. And the branding right now, I would personally believe patriotism can sometimes make other people feel othered.
That's true. I mean, and I think that's all depending upon the person that is touting their patriotism. How are you doing it? I mean, you can do anything. You can be an obnoxious Christian. You know, you can say, oh, you know, make someone feel lesser than, or make them feel judged, and you are quote unquote a Christian. You know, you're Christian. Even how you say love as a Christian. You know, I can say something with being condescending in my voice and go, God bless you. You know, the words themselves, you know, are betrayed by the intent and what's behind my voice, you know, right. That kind of thing. So, I think that for me, the patriotism is in the spirit of that America is a place whose ideals have yet to be fully realized, and it's my responsibility as an American to help fix up this fixer-upper of a country. That's about it.
The next thing I'll present then, if that's to kind of move the conversation along, because this all kind of touches on what we talked about last week, but it's a little further. So my question is, well, first off, what's the song? I'm proud to be an American. Do you guys feel proud to be Americans? Do you feel proud to be an American? Because I would imagine that's
a very good question.
Yeah.
Proud to be.
That's what patriotism would, in my mind, be.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I understand that.
That's an interesting. It's a very.
See, now you guys see where I'm coming from. I think that's the thing. Because now my question is like, how do you do patriotism in a way that feels earnest, but also you can bring other people in? You know what I mean?
Right. I think the problem with that right now, well, not even really the problem. I think the thing that we are struggling with right now is not just our representation, but how we are represented by other people as a general.
Right.
Because it's not just the country, the ideal of the country, or what we want, because we can all stand for that individually.
Yeah.
Right? But then we see, like you said, how other people see us. Right? I'm not really proud being represented as that. I'm not really proud being shown as either careless or callous to the needs of others, right? Or like, you know, always in the way of any type of issue that may not be mine exclusively to interfere in, right? And I'm definitely not one to be saying like, let me just shoot up the place wherever I find it to get my first order in, you know. But all I'm saying is like those representations, whether they be superficial, exaggerated, or otherwise, I don't want to make that be a representation of American and then thus equal to me.
Right. And I think so that's where I think my issue of like how to reclaim it, I guess is now where I'm at. Before it was like can you, now it's like a how do you do it? Because I understand we can. I understand it's our right as an individual, as a person who's in America to be like, I could have came in today with an American. I have a Marvel shirt that has red, white, and blue on. I may have worn it last week, to be honest. I can't remember. But so that's, you know, I can rep American anytime I want, but like patriotism has a certain branding to it that I think is now harder to fight.
It's a question of like whether or not do you stand or kneel nowadays.
It's like the louder I have to like not only be loud, but also this could be a, I guess, quote unquote toxic way to think about it, but there's a certain, I think I have to like, your patriotism has to kind of like beat someone else's patriotism out. Like my patriotism has to be louder than like a MAGA's patriotism and be like, if I kneel and I stand by my beliefs, that in its own way is my right as an American and therefore patriotic, but also for it to be patriotism, that imagery of me kneeling down also everyone has to agree with.
Right.
Yeah, I to your point, I do agree with you that the word or the idea of patriotism has become kind of mixed up in this country because of the fact that if your patriotism is not like my patriotism, then your patriotism is either a less than version of it.
Right.
And speaking of what happens in this country, one of the things that we like to do here is invite you to like and subscribe and hit all the buttons. I don't know if that was a
This is a
No,
smooth.
beautiful
was
segment.
I
that-
love it. And I love the
it
fact
really?
that you're the first one to always remember everything.
Well,
No,
you know
that's
why?
good.
Because I remember about our friends are here, and I know you guys know in here, but I want to make sure that you guys are a part of this conversation. If you like it, we would love to hear your comments, what you're feeling on, and in terms of patriotism. What do you believe patriotism is to you? And
Masterfully done.
and but here, but in terms of being proud, I want to check off the little boxes so that people across the world are clear on how there could be confusion in at least amongst the three of us, because we can check off the box, and I can tell you that I am so glad that I have raised my two young men here. They are a product of some of the freedoms that have been had in this country. I'd also say I'd like to check off the box that how I'm employed and how I get a chance to do what I like to do has been done here in America, and I check off the box there. So, and there's many other things that I get a chance to do whilst in this country,
Right.
that makes me happy that I was able to achieve those things. But when we get to the word proud,
Right.
that's an overarching thing, which makes me think of history, and not only so some people will say, are you proud for right now? It's similar to or as brother and sister to the question, well, when was America great? Because the MAGA stands for Make America Great Again,
Right.
which presupposes that at one point in time that America was great for everybody here.
Right.
And I would suggest that that's a very difficult time in history to find for everybody. I would suggest to you there might have been 2.5 hours historically where everybody for that moment in time was good. Not even great, but
Broken America is right twice a century.
yeah. But that is not to say that I don't enjoy the benefits of being an American here. And because I enjoy the benefits here, it's not suggesting that I'm not putting my share of my sweat equity to make the country great as well. So it's not that I'm just receiving without putting in, or not to making a withdrawal and not making a deposit. So, but the word proud does give me a time to say,
Right.
okay, I'm sorry.
No.
I guess to that, sorry, I'm kind of because you did bring up the fact of we are here, we're already reaping the benefits and everything like that. Sorry, but I think I feel like the main issue I think is where you stand on both these issues, not just, I'm making my way here, because everyone feels like you shouldn't really owe a country for just trying your best to live, but also when you are reflecting on the past of how to make it better, people kneel not simply because they are opposed to what happened in the past. I think sometimes people just kneel also in opposition to what is happening now.
Right.
Or rather just to show that they are from an opposition. Right. I don't mind standing for the national anthem, right? So long as I'm aware that I'm standing on what my ideals ought to be for this place as well.
Interesting.
It shouldn't just be, because it didn't fit for me, I don't need to stand for this, right? I can always stand on the ideal that'll get better, right? And work towards that, right? But that's just I don't want to kneel just for the sake of saying, I honor something that I haven't lived through, right? And also at the same time, if I am going to say that I am proud to be an American, right? And this is just, I'm not even trying to play devil's advocate here. It's just more the fact of if I am going to be proud to be an American, I will gladly stand on the premise of it being better, that the nation will actually vote better, and actually do better for in the long run. Right? And not every turn is going to become an opportune time for us to move forward. If we're going to talk about, I love the play Hamilton, right? If we're going to talk about Make America Great Again, right? And how we talk about even the Boston Tea Party. People always bring back these kind of revolutions to say that this is what America was all about. It was all about the revolt. It was always about having one voice rise against the oppressed and the unheard needs, right? So we talk about the issues of, what Black Lives Matter was supposed to be about, and then all the raids that came after just the unjust killings that we've been dealing with all our time, right? That was one revolt that led to where we are right now, right? But at the same time, it wasn't so much, it wasn't uncalled for, right?
think I'm following.
And it wasn't like, this is like just savage work done. He's like, I can't believe all these people. Because it came from a spot of, it hasn't been heard. Like we've been talking about this for the longest time. Even if we do it the right way, we're still not being heard. It was built up over time. So we would probably even say that all those vandalizings could be a form of American pride in itself. All right, but some people don't want to put their lives on the line or even say, I stand for that. I agree with them on that matter because it was done the right way, you know?
You see, I argue the same point that any form of protest, like you said, is that not yet in the American tradition?
Right.
Are we to assume that the Boston Tea Party was done in such a way that it was a peaceful demonstration?
Right.
I suggest to you that tar and feathering is not as comical as Warner Brothers would make you seem,
right.
And in the time as, growing up as a kid and watching it. It was bad. You were boiled and, I don't know if you can say it even here on social media, but it was a part of what America did. And are we proud that young guys that came from England who were just doing their job, all right, boy, we've got to get some money for tea, and then, here, we don't fit tea. And all of a sudden, people who sound American, woo, 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 are dressed like Native Americans.
Right.
Right.
And then they're throwing tea stuff over.
Right.
And which I believe personally was so that they could put the blame on other people if they ever got caught. So no, it wasn't us.
Right.
But I mean, that's my take on it, Why dress like those who you've conquered to make a point? You know,
because in some way, not only is it divulging blame, but it's also there's a shame to it in some form.
Right, that's true.
But I want to jump off both of your points because I said okay like that, not because I didn't agree. I said okay like that because you inspired something else, which is, I'll say the point you inspired first, then I'll backtrack it. So the point you inspired is, if we feel this way, then is patriotism in itself overrated? You know what I mean? Because I'm going back a little bit because now I'm thinking I like the idea. I think the reason why I even brought this up initially, I like the idea of quote unquote reclaiming patriotism. Because I think it's also when I first heard about this concept, it was something I don't think I realized was quote unquote taken away from me. I don't think I was ever someone who was like America. I don't think I was. I'm not like even when I was in school, I'm not someone who was like I wasn't a pep rally person. Like I like the places I go to, but I just don't think I get excited about those kinds of things in that kind of way, you know? But the difference is, like, now I do feel barred a bit from rooting for America, like wearing America in a certain way. I feel like, and I didn't realize I felt that way until I started thinking of the term of reclaiming it. You know what I mean?
Right.
But now I'm also thinking, do I want to, or am I just competing? You know what I mean? Like, because now it's just like, I realize I feel bad because I'm just throwing questions at you guys, answering anything. But like, you know, it's the patriotism. Do we need to do this?
It's like I feel as if like right now, like because I was bringing up revolts, and I'm also thinking about like even more recently January 6th.
Oh yeah,
right. And I know that that's the thing that kind of mars the line. Is like we were a nation filled with outcasts, revolters, right? So like our whole entire history is kind of like built upon strife and the the everyman fighting against a certain machine. But ironically, in January 6th, we had a system set up that everyone supposedly agreed with, right?
But
And we're waiting for numbers to actually, like, what we fought for, right, was an actual system to be in place where every voice can be heard, right? And then once we agreed on a voice, and once we have agreed on a vote, right, every other voice voted against, revolt against that.
To jump in real quick, because that's actually a very good point. Because, like I said, I think a lot of times people bring up patriotism, bring up America. It is about freedom of speech. It is about us being able to say what we want and do what we want, and then protest on our own, like you said, or patriotic. However, this January 6th, if you want to call it a protest, it was an insurrection. But if you want to call it a protest, it started as one. Also attacked democracy.
Indeed.
With people who were I would imagine consider themselves patriotic.
Yeah.
So what happened? Is that patriotism? That you brought up a very good point.
Right.
It attacked itself. It's like how patriotic. I'm so patriotic. I'm not American. I don't.
Yeah.
That's what I mean.
It's a very difficult word because, when you talk of patriotism, we're almost speaking about something that is, quote unquote, spiritual,
right. Yes.
because is it quantitative? Can you because if I'm a good citizen, can I still then not yet be patriotic?
Mm-hmm.
If I cross off all the boxes, raise my family right, pay my taxes, do what's right, stop at the red, go on green, do everything that a good citizen ought to do. Can I still be attacked by someone that says, hey, but you're not patriotic?
Right.
The song, music is very important to me, as you guys know.
Yeah.
And I find it that it's, I don't know if it's for every African American, but when you hear at a baseball game of some sort, and they say, well, let's please stand for the national anthem. And I get a little nervous. I get a little weirded out because it's a song that has a lot in it for me,
right?
And and the verses that are unsung, are still part of the songs, and it's like, and it gets me back to a lot of things. It's like, if I'm singing a song, but I'm just singing the words, I might become Pavlov's dog, and I just, respond, and because of the being conditioned to it.
Yeah.
Also, there's a story in the Bible, I believe it was King Nebuchadnezzar that desired that the people of the children of Israel to bow every time they heard sort of stature, and then the music played and this, that, and the other. They were required to bow. They were required to kneel, and I'm required to place my hand over my heart. Now, someone can say, well, you're not doing anything but a gesture, but am I?
Right.
If I place my hand over my heart, we have, there are things that are part of the culture, a part of mindset. It's so weird how there's things that are universal. If you put your hand over your heart, almost in any culture, that's like saying, in truth, indeed,
right.
I absolute from the bottom of my soul, I'm in agreement. And it's such a big deal that I don't know if when I hear it, it almost sounds like a challenge. And it's like, I will sometimes wobble to my feet.
Yeah.
I will creep my hand up to my heart-ish. Maybe I'll put it around my liver or something or whatever. I don't know where my liver is. But anyway, but
Your hand over your heart.
but wholeheartedly is a word.
Right. And I think, and again, you guys bring up good points. And I'm glad because I feel like maybe last week or the last time I brought this up, I didn't illustrate what the issue was or why I was bringing it up as well. So I feel like this conversation hits a little harder because it's one of the things. I'm not sure if you guys relate with this, but like I said, I think a part of me wants to be more patriotic. And just also in and I don't want to do it this way. Also something I just realized we didn't talk about real quick. This is going to be kind of out of order by the nature of how politics works, but we had a debate recently, and that just happened. So I support Kamala Harris.
Yes,
I'm happy to vote. I'm happy to do a lot of.
If you haven't known by now, we're voting.
That's right. We're voting
for Harris.
Kamala Harris.
Yeah.
Kamala Harris.
So I'm happy to do all those things, and I'm happy to be on the quote unquote the side that I'm on, and that also gets us some problematic things, but whatever. But I won't lie. MAGA seems like they're having fun. Does that make sense? No, hold on.
Go on. No, go, please.
It just seems loud. Like, and I don't like. You understand? Hold on. At the DNC that just passed, they had a great time. Lil Jon was there. True Changer. Like, I'm not trying. I'm saying almost in a joking way. There's so much going on there because I don't think the stakes aren't as high. Like, you can have you can have way more fun if you don't care. You can have a lot more fun if you're ignoring other people's issues. You know what I mean? So I'm not saying I'm not giving it props for big. Oh my gosh! But I'm saying the way to be more patriotic is to ignore more stuff. Like, it's easier to be not the way, but it's easier to be more patriotic. It's easier to be like, I'm an American if you don't care about because a lot of people like support the troops. I do support the troops. I support people who are going out there trying to defend. But I don't know every individual troop, and just because you're a troop doesn't mean you're a great person.
How much time have we got?
We got like 5 minutes.
No, listen. You bring up so many things, and we go back to sound and music and things. You see, because my thing is, if I'm in the woods in the middle of the night,
patriotism,
and I hear this. If I hear certain sounds, there are certain sounds that would make you fearful. If you hear a growling of a bear, you would say, that direction might not be the wisest to go.
Right.
Back in the time of the Civil War, the Confederates were known to have something called the rebel cry. Supposedly, the rebel cry was such a yell and such a blood-curdling, screaming, hooting and hollering that people were afraid of the rebel yell. The rebel yell. I don't know if you've ever heard that term.
Sounds like the Wilhelm scream, if you guys are familiar.
I'm not familiar with the Wilhelm scream. No.
Sorry. It's the... Never mind, I'm sorry.
But in any case, but here's the thing. If I hear the noises that I hear from the MAGA party in the middle of the woods, I don't know if it sounds to me like a posse coming after me or a party I'd like to participate in.
Oh, can I? All right, this is probably not the best note to end on, but I'm going to do my best to do this tactfully. I was at I went to a cafe, went to a brunch spot with my roommates the other day, and this person, I think they had a great time. They seem to be enjoying themselves. And you can very much tell they're enjoying themselves because at some point I heard them say, woohoo. Right? Now, hold on. We're at a cafe, we're at like a breakfast spot. And I just realized, and for a second it hit me, I'm like, I haven't heard a genuine woohoo in so long. And like, you hardly hear woohoo at like a concert. You'll hear woo, you hear yeah, but you don't hear woohoo.
Yeah.
And then it hit me. That's what white joy feels like.
Oh.
No.
Wow.
No, because think about how. Because I'm like, you know how good you have to be to have, how much joy in your heart you have to have like a, from the nature, woohoo, like from the spirit, like you ate and you're like, woohoo, and it comes out. I'm like, wow, that's what freedom feels like. That's what patriotism feels like. You know what I mean?
It feels like woo-woo. Okay, all right, well. To all of our white friends, in fact woohoo is something that makes you feel joyful, we celebrate that with you.
I'm going to.
No, you've not gone to. This is what we do here. We express ourselves.
Okay.
What is?
We have about 2 minutes left. I think the one thing I wanted to say regarding not the woohoo, but
I don't hear woohoos.
You don't.
Mm-hmm.
I think the point that I'm also kind of that we're kind of all centering around is like I think there's a general consensus that we all have when looking at a history textbook. Mm-hmm. There are some instances that are glossed over. There are some moments that are like we learn about in full extent, right? But all in all, no matter the incident that you see framed on the U.S. World History edition, whatever, 2024, 2025, you would see moments of like 9/11. You see how impactful that was to a nation, right? And then you would hear us talk about like, the Boston Tea Party again, like how impactful that was to a nation, right? When we're looking at these moments and events, comparing, all the issues that we had during COVID, all the stores trashed and everything like that compared to January 6th, as an example, right? When you see those two pictures side by side on the pages, which one do you think is going to actually be represented ideally for this nation? Becomes a question. And then I understand people are always wary regarding that viewpoint, all right, whether or not they want to stand on politics or whether they want to stand on patriotism or not, right? But regardless of where they end on the pages, you have to also think about what is being written for yourselves in the future, guys, right? So in terms of politics, I think in terms of patriotism, I believe it's only a moment of perspective and where you think it can go from in the future. But that's just me.
Close us out, man.
That's Ferris Fields, and that's just something for you to think on.
All right. We love you. We thank you for joining us. Love you, boys.
Peace out,
And
everybody.
hey, stay
Drop the mic on
patriotic.
that one.